Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 22 of Leppy Duels, once again presented by JRV Media. I'm your host, Jacob Arvidsson. We are live at Ledgestone this week. Woo-hoo! We are on the set here on hole 12, the famous water tower hole at Lake Eureka. And let's introduce the cast since you can see them already. First up, we've got Ryan Kenny, Homer from Leprechaun Hollows. Next up, you know him well, the largest winner here on Leppy Duels,
Boo.
Brian Papa Wolf Frawley. Third, making his debut on the show, just like Kenny, is Dick Engelman. And our final guest, you know him as well, Mr. Trevor Harbolt. So thanks for being with us. Trevor and Dick are going to kick us off here. We're going to flash back to Mid-America Open from this past weekend. Andrew Presnell, Gannon Buhr came down to the wire in a playoff. So I want to know from you guys, Trevor, lead us off. Did Andrew Presnell win? Or in your opinion, did Gannon Buhr lose that tournament?
Okay, I have a question. Where's my timer?
You all started already.
Anyways, Andrew Presnell won that tournament. If you go back to hole 14, the roller that he had on 14, then 15, he pured a drive and threw a great up shot up to the basket and parked it. And then hole 16, he just threw a turnover, parked it. 17, perfect play, all the way down to the basket, hit a good putt for a birdie, and then birdied the last hole. He went birdie, 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 birdie. While Gannon had some bad shots, let's face it, Andrew Presnell won that tournament fair and square because he went 5 in a row to finish, and that's how you end a tournament, if you ask me. I mean, you can put blame on Gannon for missing a putt from 20 feet, but, Presnell won that and put all the pressure on him, I think. So I think Presnell just completely won that tournament, hands down.
All right. So Trevor says Presnell won. Dick, where are you going with this one?
Presnell had a great tournament. I don't want to take anything against, his performance, but Gannon Buhr, let's be fair, he's a better player. And he's been winning since he's come on the scene a couple years ago, and he could have made some more shots down the stretch, and he didn't. And sure, Presnell made the shots he was supposed to, but if Gannon Buhr made one extra shot, he would have won. They wouldn't have gone later on, and he would have had it.
Okay, so we got two different answers here, which is lovely, of course. Trevor says Presnell won the tournament. Dick says Gannon Buhr lost it. So, Trevor, on your rebuttal here, defend yourself and tell us why you deserve to win duel number 1.
Okay, so here's the deal. Andrew Presnell won because he put in the time and put in the work, and he went down the stretch 5 in a row, hit every shot you're supposed to hit. Gannon Buhr showed up 2.5 hours before his tee time, never played the tournament, and came down the stretch and wasn't ready to finish. So I just think that the preparation, the finish, the guts, everything that Presnell did ended up winning that tournament. Gannon's won a lot, yeah, but let's give him credit where credit's due. Presnell came at the end and just put it on him and won that tournament.
All right, Dick, why do you deserve to win your first ever duel on this show?
Gannon Buhr had the lead after those first couple of rounds. It was not about the lack of preparation. He's just more talented. And the fact that he couldn't finish out at the end, it shows you still he's not the oldest kid, but he still should have won that. And I don't know, I just think that he's the better player, more talented player, and he'd already been through that course a couple times, so should have did it.
All right, so Dick says no excuse for Gannon coughing up the wins. And Trevor's trying to double down on Presnell, but he pulled a classic Trevor Harbolt here on Leppy Duels. He kind of backed up the other person's point, saying Gannon was prepared, even though he showed up at the last second to play. But by the time we got to the final round down the stretch, Gannon's in charge. He controls his own fate. And I think Trevor kind of drove that point home. He let it slip away. So I'm going to give Dick his first ever win here on the show in
This is
duel
rigged.
number
It's
1.
always rigged.
Trevor says it's rigged against him. We'll see about that. He's got 2 more cracks at it here tonight. Duel number 2, Brian and Mr. Ryan Kenny. Kenny, you're going to lead us off here. A topic that's been, rising in popularity over the last year or two is the idea of time violations. So if you're the Disc Golf Pro Tour, how do you go about incentivizing these pros to start making time violation penalty calls on their own?
Great question, Jake. So snitches get stitches, but in the fairness of disc golf, and the professionalism of it. I also feel that you need to keep it 30-second clock for everybody, whether they warmed up and they approach the disc after a couple seconds. I like the idea of, at a big event like this, most cards have a U-disc tracker or somebody out there on their phones already keeping shot of C1, C2, park jobs and whatnot. Add another volunteer. There's hundreds of kids out here, hundreds of adults out here that want to be part of it. It's only going to grow the sport. I think you get the community involved as a volunteer, but you can't just be out there with a stopwatch. You have to have a visible clock so the other all players involved are aware of their time remaining of the set clock violation.
All right, well said, Kenny. Where are you going, Brian?
For this, I think we have to focus on the fact that we are still, for the most part, a self-governing sport. And just like we are doing right now, using a time watch, every player should have this out for every shot for somebody else's. And now how do we reward when people call it? We start keeping it as a stat, whether it's on UDIS or Statmando, whoever wants to keep this stat. And then whoever accumulates the most, or whoever's accumulating a lot of these successful time violation calls that are seconded by someone else, key points in there, all right, they get premier spots at the next tournament. Meaning they get to be on recorded coverage, or they get the better tee time later in the day when it's not as wet, or something along those lines. I think it's really important to look at outside the box angles to incentivize these pros to speak up more. We have to be more culture orientated when it comes to this. It is hurting our game to watch a 2-minute shot before someone throws.
Well said. So Brian gave us a nice solution with some incentives. Kenny, go ahead and build on your initial point and give us your take on this whole thing.
Solid points, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Those are great. Self-governing is 100% accurate. It's one thing I think we all love about this game. You bring that into a professional element, I feel you also start to create an advantage. You also start to create maybe a little bit more of a, well, I don't like playing with so-and-so, or I'm going to try to get in his or her head. So I think you open up the window to maybe some naughtiness in there. So I think the idea of having a volunteer, a true net neutral, if you would be the ideal solution.
All right, Brian, take it home. Can you win duel number 2?
You know, I'm okay with the naughtiness. I think we need that in our sport. If you look at the excitement in an NHL arena, when is it the loudest besides a goal? It's when there's a fight. All right, we need to create a little bit more drama. Let's lean into this. Let's have heels. Let's have people start calling more of these and get that reputation. I will buy your jersey. Any pro out there wants to go and call 5 more by the end of the year on camera, I'll buy your jersey. I'll buy your tour series right now. Let's do it.
All right, some bold statements to finish here from Papa Wolf. I think if we're just going by the basis of the question here, how do we incentivize these guys? I think Brian answered that the best. Although, Kenny, I do like your points. I think it's important to acknowledge the other side of the argument, which is, yeah, maybe we don't want a whole lot of head games potentially out of the self-governing portion of this. So I think it's a good point you made. But Brian takes the win here in duel number 2. Duel number 3, Trevor, you're up against Kenny here.
Is this one rigged too?
We're about to find out.
Okay, I just want to.
We're about to find out. You can let me know if it's rigged after the question. Question number 3. We are here at our first United Series event on the Pro Tour. So was the United Series the best move, not just for the Pro Tour, not just for Ledgestone or the players, but disc golf in general, Trevor?
Of course. Of course it is. Like, we're back to playing disc golf like we should be. Like, all the decisions and all the things that's happened over the past couple years in the sport of disc golf just needs to kind of get set aside. We just need to get back to playing the game that we all love and get back to the reason why we're here, which is throwing frisbees. So let's let everybody else take care of it right now while we're still a young sport and still thriving and growing, and it'll get taken care of when the time comes. So I think it's important what the decision was made, because the ladies get back to disc golf and they get to play the courses that they're used to playing and that they love on tour. So I think it's a good move. Get them back. Let's go.
All right, Trevor's excited to have the women back where they belong. Kenny, where are you going with this one?
Argue with me. Let's go.
There's got to be a clear, distinct cutoff red line, which I think we've made progress on that. I think by any means, women can compete in a men's field, and anybody going through a transition or a female going into or a men's going into a women's, there's two different things right there. So I want to take a little bit of a different approach. I think it could be even based off ratings. So much like where we see in some of the local tournaments where if you're 950 to 1,000 plus, take that into the pro aspect, but maybe break it down into 10-point segments and really see where if, maybe like a Premier League, you move up to a higher division, and then you start competing against those world-class A-tier athletes and put up or shut up.
All right, so again, differing opinions. This is wonderful stuff. Trevor, second crack at it here on your rebuttal. Respond to Kenny.
I'm not
but
going to
also
double down this
Yeah.
time, man. I think the main focus here is the Pro Tour and what's going on in the women's game. And I think just getting back to the women's game and playing again, and not like, let's not keep the women down right now. Let's just keep them up while they're still here and doing things, and let's just keep the women playing, man. All that stuff that's going on with the transgender or the transitioning and stuff, all that has to get taken care of by people who have the means to do it and that have the money to do it and have all the resources. I don't think disc golf is big enough. We don't even have referees on our course, so I don't think we're big enough to even tackle this subject in our sport right now. So I just think it's good that we're here and we're having women play disc golf, especially here. Sunset Hills is such an awesome course for the ladies. Might be one of the best disc golf courses for the women on tour. So if they got that taken away, it'd kind of hurt them a little bit in many ways. So just being back into disc golf, let's get the ladies back there and root for our favorite women, you know.
Good stuff, Trevor. Kenny?
Solid points. Those are great counters. Doubling down on mine, if you make it truly based on points, you could be anybody you want from any state, any country, and if you're a 926 or a 1026, I know who I'm competing against, I know what I'm up against that day going into it, and at the end of the day, winner takes all, and they outperform me regardless of who they are, where they come from.
Rating system's broken.
Fair point, Trevor. Well said, both you guys. Thanks for those comments. I'm going to give the win to Trevor here just for, if we just go back to the question that was asked, what does this do for disc golf? Is this the best move for disc golf? Trevor answered that, I think, in the most succinct way. So Trevor gets the win here, but I also want to highlight one of Trevor's points, Sunset Hills being now available to the women this weekend. The first FPO-designed course for the Pro Tour, and it would be a shame if they weren't able to play it. So I'm glad you brought that up, Trevor.
It's an awesome course for the women, man.
Absolutely. So Trevor takes the win here in duel number 3. Duel number 4. Dick and Brian, you guys are up. Here's a fun question. Should ace pools and 50-50 CTPs be standard at tournaments? Dick, you're up first.
No. For many reasons. But first of all, it's up to the tournament director what they want to do. If people can sign up if they want or not, but to standardize it and say that every tournament has that doesn't really make sense. It takes away just the creativity of the tournament director. They can do what they want with that, but no, it doesn't have to be every tournament doing it all.
All right, you heard it. It is not needed. It doesn't need to be standard. Brian, what's your take as a TD?
I think there's too many varieties of tournaments to make a blanket statement across. Obviously Trevor playing on the Pro Tour versus me playing in a Flex Star C-Tier. I'm going for a different reason, and that reason's fun. I think fun should be mandatory at every event. So for some people, an ace pool is fun. For some people, 50-50 is fun. For some people, buying me a Guinness when they register for a Wolfpack event is fun. So it all depends on the type of course, the type of league, par, things like that. I like to see the people that are playing poker for birdies. I like all the creative games that are out there. And I think we should be bringing more creativity to this. Let's continue to hook people to our game, whether it's in a league fashion or in a tournament fashion.
Okay, so both of you guys in a way say no to the ace pool 50-50 CTP question. Go ahead and separate yourselves if you can here. Dick, you're up first. Go for it.
I just don't think that it's totally necessary. A lot of times it's a lot of extra work and people are going to complain because they put the flag, too far away if it's a CTP or whatever else. Basically, it's just like gambling, it's fun. I love to gamble myself, but it doesn't add to the game at all. It's just, you know, a fun little thing that a tournament director can do, but is it necessary? Should it be required? Absolutely not. I don't see why it would be.
So Dick's doubling down. No, we don't need gambling on the course. Brian?
I think, again, it goes back to the individual event. I think adding fun and adding an opportunity for somebody to win something maybe without winning the tournament just makes the overall experience better. And more importantly, it creates more core memories and more people get to play disc golf.
It does look like he's reading from a prompt, Trevor, but he's just staring at his timer.
That's why he's got the most wins.
He knows what he's doing. I do like how you reframed that question, Brian. I think because ace pool and 50-50 at the end of the day are meant to be fun aspects, fun additions to a tournament. And they are additions, and they are TD discretion additions. And no, they don't need to be standard, but they're fun, and I think that's the answer here. So Brian wins the duel.
They also can make you mad, dude. I spit out of an ace for a car at this very tournament right here. So they can make you really mad.
Wolfpack tournament is you must have fun.
Correct.
Yeah.
There you go. So Trevor lost a car.
Yeah.
So that's burned in his memory. All right, duel number 5. Kenny against Dick. We've got Macbeth and Pierce missing out on Ledgestone this weekend. Almost guaranteed Macbeth misses Deglow next weekend as well. Pierce is out for much longer. So with the two stalwarts of Discraft's team missing, like where does that leave us? And are there positives or negatives to take away from this? Kenny, you're up first.
I'm 2 thumbs up on it. Yes, we like to see the number 1 in every sport, but who doesn't love a classic underdog or a rising star or some cat out of nowhere putting on the jets and really, really impressing everybody, getting their time to shine. Yes, sad that we're not going to have the 2 of the biggest stars here. Certainly might have a little bit of an impact on maybe that top 5% of the audience that everyone wants to see. But I think the majority of us that are here today in Eureka for the week, or anyone who's going to watch any post-production, we're going to watch it regardless. And I love seeing a new name on that lead card, or even through any of the open rounds, watching them battle, watching them fight. I've watched 100 Macbeth rounds, 100 Paige Pierce rounds. You know, it is nice to see new throwers, and small impact, bigger gain, in my opinion.
All right. Dick?
I feel like you're talking like it's 5 years ago when Paul Macbeth and Paige Pierce were just dominating everybody. They're not anymore. They're still the 2 favorites as far as the fans go, and that's even arguable. But overall, no. Like, imagine the NBA playoffs without Giannis and LeBron or Steph Curry, whoever it is. No, you want those 2 best players to be there so that when these young bucks come up, they're going to be taking out the best players in the world, and not because they weren't there, it's because they took them over. And I think that's way more meaningful for ratings. They're going to still get the same amount of viewers with the big names in there, but you want them to beat the best. And it's changing the guard right now, and it's happening. But no, them being hurt, it's not great.
All right, so 2 different takes here. Kenny obviously doesn't want them hurt by any means, but he's saying we can have some positive gains out of this that outweigh the 2 stars being hurt. Dick says no, it's painful for them to be hurt. It hurts the game. So, Kenny, double down on your statement and try and win this duel.
Absolutely. You know, I don't like seeing the Lakers in the NBA playoffs every year. I don't like seeing the Bucks there. I'd like to see my Celtics there. But with that said, you know, I like the idea that it's wide open, whereas you just mentioned that both these individuals were favorites in their respective fields to win this. Well, now you got a 3-headed monster on either side that's going to give it to, like, if we were betting like we're talking about, where are you going to put that 20 down? So I think opening the door is the big key here. Maybe a small impact on, again, the top 5% of the audiences who don't know everybody else, the rest of the field. I think it definitely is going to attract more ratings for that.
Okay. Kenny's doubling down. Dick?
I wish them both well, but also I do not think that either would be the favorites at this tournament or any tournament going forward, even if they're healthy. Kristen Tatar is the odds-on favorite every tournament she enters, and I'm guessing she'll be here this weekend. And as far as Paul, he's done well, but he's been over in Europe, and you got Heidenberg, you got Eagle, you got all the young bucks. he's not the odds-on favorite anymore. I'm taking the field every tournament that he's in. So, and then I'm taking Tatar every tournament she's in against the field. So I don't think it's really an issue there.
All right, well said from both you guys. I like the initial takes. Dick kind of tripped himself up there at the end. Tatar will not be here this weekend.
I did my research.
And to be honest, you kind of backed Kenny's point up, saying that you would take the field a majority of the time, especially on the MPO side. And to me, that doesn't hurt Discraft or the game as much. So Kenny takes his first win. That leaves it up to Trevor to stop Brian from winning
Once
again.
It happens like every time.
It's not rigged. You just set up perfect.
So we're teeing you up, Trevor. Definitely not a rigged episode. Lake Eureka had 2 major OB changes this year. The biggest being the island hole 17. The drop zone is now 50 feet away, throwing between the bleachers of spectators right back downhill at the water. So how do you see this playing out? Do you see it being more of a positive change or a negative change for the tournament? Brian, you get to lead us off.
Yeah, this is a great win-win. Sorry, Trevor. It's a win for the fans because the fans get to see more action up close with that shot coming through the fences there and the stands there. But it also speeds up play from an efficiency standpoint. So the tournament director obviously is happier, and the participants, like my good friend Trevor, will obviously be happier that he won't have to wait on people taking 7, 8 more shots. But yes, it's a giant win for the fans, and it's a giant win for production value. That's the key here. We're going to have more people watching these rounds online versus spectating and watching them. You're going to have great camera angle shots looking behind the player as it goes back down towards the water. It's going to be visually appealing to the person that's watching it. I'd even go so far as to say the Pro Tour and Jomez will use hole 17 as one of their thumbnails by the end of the week.
Wow. Bold, bold, bold from Brian. Trevor, what's your take here? You get to go second.
This is the setup. It's all rigged. I'm going to agree with Brian on everything. I think it's perfect for the fans. I think it gets them up close and personal to their favorite players. I think it speeds up play. But the one thing that Brian forgot, and the one thing that I'm going to win this little duel today on, is that it actually causes more danger as well. So you're putting straight at the water instead of just over the water. And if somebody goes for it, misses a putt, and they go OB, they're taking a bigger number than they wanted to. So I think it's going to also bring in scoring separation, which is also a plus for the fans and also a plus for the players, because people like me can move up a little bit when somebody makes a mistake, and the fans can, laugh or whatever they need to do when somebody throws in the water. So I think while you're right on everything, I think also the scoring separation helps on this course a little bit more as well, just from the drop zone standpoint. So.
Good stuff, both of you guys. Trevor made it known that you guys differentiated on at least one point there. So, Brian, respond to Trevor.
Yeah, I'm just going to go back and harp on the visual appeal of the actual event. We are trying to sell disc golf to a mass media, and this is how we do it, by creating unique shots like you see in golf, like 17 at TCP Sawgrass, things like that. Those are things that the average consumer of sports understands and gets. We want those types of shots in our sport too, on camera.
Trevor?
Awesome. Well, that's all good and fun. If you're going to do that, then you need to fix hole 5 because it looks like crap. So that's my argument.
Okay, Trevor. I was hoping you had a little bit more for us to win to win duel number 6.
I agree with them on everything almost, except for the scoring separation. It's going to look nice. It's going to look good. That's what we want in the sport. We want more stuff, but we also need to do it on every hole, I guess you would say, because while it's cool, some of the other holes are not that good.
All right, so I'm glad you added a little bit to that there. Good points from both of you. I think, Brian, you're exactly right. I think it's a showcase hole, but I think you could argue it already was a showcase hole. It's just maybe more visually appealing now, but I think it already was a showcase hole. People come to this tournament and they don't follow the lead card. They just sit at hole 17 and they watch that hole along with 13 and 18 for 5 hours. So I think you could already argue it's a signature hole here. Trevor had, as we got a dog running through the set here, Trevor had a great point. I think that Brian did miss, and that's the scoring separation aspect of it, and that's what makes this such a positive change. And I'm glad you said that. Trevor's going to take the win here, sends us to a tiebreaker, and we'll see if this show is rigged in Trevor's favor, I guess. So Brian got to go first last time, so Trevor will go first this time. What is the coolest trophy in disc golf, Trevor?
PCS Open. I mean, hands down, especially when Barsby won and like he looked like a Viking when he held it up and screaming. I mean, an axe or a sword and a shield is pretty metal, and I'm a metal guy, but it's also just visually stunning if you ask me. You hang that on the wall, people are like, what is that? And you're like, dude, I won the PCS Open, you know? Like, I think it's the coolest trophy in disc golf, and I want one.
That's a flying liability.
Yeah, right?
Fair point. Brian?
Listen, I got to credit my man to my left giving me this answer ahead of time, but the coolest trophy is definitely the Music City Open trophy. The Gibson guitar is unbelievably cool, and I would assume a higher price point as well from a value standpoint, and more useful. I would actually play the guitar. Don't think I'd swing the axe at anyone.
All right, we got an axe. We got a guitar. Trevor, double down on the axe. Why is it better than the guitar in particular?
If he's gonna put a price point, I mean, like, of course the guitar is awesome. I think it's cool, but I think that just for disc golf purposes, like, that's a musician thing. Like, disc golf purposes, you go to Norway or Sweden or Finland and you win a trophy, you would hope that it's gonna be a Viking shield and sword or axe. I think, like, it's just so cool to go over to another country and bring home this awesome trophy that could be worth way more than the guitar, because it could be from, like, Viking descent. You know what I mean? So who knows? That makes it even cooler.
Brian?
Yeah, I will use Trevor's point to win. Trevor's point was, yeah, you want to go somewhere unique and take something of homage from that place. That's true. That's why when you go play the Music City Open and you win a Gibson guitar, that is a great core memory. It is an awesome trophy, and you can learn a new skill.
Like swinging axe.
And it's the first year they had it. I mean, like, I don't know, like, doesn't tradition make anything?
All right,
worse?
here's the answer. Both of you guys had great answers, first of all. Brian, I was actually thinking before we got Kenny roped into this episode that I might have to answer this question, and I was going to say that if someone stole the axe. But the axe is the number one answer, and Trevor's going to win this episode. His first win on Leppy Duels since episode 1 months ago. Months ago. But he swears the show is rigged against him. All right, Trevor, the floor is yours. What do you got for us?
I don't know if we talk about this enough in disc golf, but I think one of the biggest reasons that our sport is getting all the big views and everything is UDisc, man. I think that UDisc needs more, more clout out there. I think we should talk about it more. They got every single course on there. They've got, ratings for every single course. They keep updating in every single month, it seems like, and I just think that it's such a good tool, and if you're out there and you don't have UDisc, you should go subscribe. I think it's one of the biggest tools that's helped our sport grow immense numbers, and you can do so much and play with your friends on there and do so much with it. So I just want to give a big shout out to UDisc and all the guys at all the hard work at UDisc. I think it's one of the coolest things in disc golf since I was a kid to ever come around. While I love the Pro Tour and I love meeting all these people, I still think UDisc is such a huge benefit for us as disc golfers, for the average disc golfer, pro disc golfer. I just like keeping all my stats, and I think it's so sick. So I love UDisc.
Shout out to UDisc. Congrats again to Trevor. Yeah, come on, UDisc, sponsor our show. Congrats, Trevor, on your second win ever, and your second win in a long, long time. Yeah, that's right. You're clawing your way back. So, congrats to Trevor Harbolt. Thanks again to Ryan Kenny for filling in this episode. Brian Frawley, as always, and Dick Engelman for being here. We appreciate you guys. Thanks to all the fans who showed up today to watch us. We appreciate you guys. All you guys who are watching at home, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that yet. And enjoy the Ledgestone Open this weekend. We will definitely be watching because we are here. So enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.